Hey guys, how's it going? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, we're changing stuff up. Constantly changing. Hope you can hear me well. Doing some mic movements and stuff. I'm trying, really hard to do this and get it right because I'm getting some guests on. I know you guys have seen them. Hopefully you've heard of them. I'm not going to say welcome back. I said welcome back. God dang it. You know what I mean? Anyway, we got a great podcast. I hope it's going to be great. I mean, I haven't pre-recorded it, so it's not like it's going to be, you know. Today we're going to jump into Japanese whiskey. Yeah, we're going to get into Japanese whiskey. It's going to get a little nerdy, but you know, it's going to be it's going to be fun. And this is probably the biggest part. We're going to do a little housekeeping beforehand, like we always do. But the biggest part is this marks the 20th episode that I will have put out so far. 20 of many, okay? But to me, that is a milestone to me. And I don't know if you guys feel the same way. Hopefully, these past 19 have been acceptable and they're things that you want to hear about. I'm trying to get guests on that are knowledgeable in their field, and it's not always whiskey related. It's whiskey adjacent, obviously, but it's not always whiskey related. We have a couple of other people coming in the pike. I've got a list. I've got a schedule, guys. Come on. They're knocking the door down. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. It's not like that. It's not like that. But yeah, no, it's. I am so blessed, and I know I said this episode 4, I guess, how blessed I am to be in this whiskey community and to be around whiskey minded people. And so to that, um, I'm recording this on Saturday in the shed of doom, the 100-degree shed of doom. Luckily, it's right after, it's like 12:30, whatever, something like that. Um, And so it's not super hot in here because, you had to turn the dreaded AC off because it just makes so much damn noise. You can't even hear yourself think. And I'm sitting right next to it. So we are celebrating today, and I thought I would celebrate with I made a homemade wine. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I make homemade wines and stuff like that. Totally not illegal. You can do that. Anybody can do that. It's fun. Try it out. Do it. City Steading Brews is a great YouTube channel to learn how to make wine, beer. Um, they do a lot of mead, which is a honey wine, basically. They do a lot of that stuff. I've learned some things from them. Another one is my buddy Bearded and Bored. I'm gonna try and get him on a podcast, but we'll see. He's having his wife's having some issues. You know, physical ailments and stuff like that. So we don't want to impose on him, but I'd love to get him on to talk about his stuff as well. Anyway, but he does a YouTube channel and he talks a lot about making beers and stone beers and stuff like that. Like he does all kinds of stuff. And then he got into making brandies and stuff like that. A really cool guy. I don't know why I'm promoting all these other people. I need to be promoting myself, but that's how this community is. We push each other up, and hopefully, you know, it will come back to me. Um, in saying all that, I made my own wine, and this one it's a little funny because we had bought some maple syrup, right? Now you know where I'm going, right? We had bought some maple syrup from Vermont or something. It was an expensive maple syrup, and I knew this, but I didn't even think about it. You know what I mean? Like you don't think about things when you're doing them in the heat of the moment. You're just like doing them. And so we got the maple syrup, and it was like a half gallon, like a pretty good amount, and it was very expensive. So we made pancakes or whatever, and so we had a smaller jar in the fridge. Well, we poured from that big jar that was in the pantry, opened it up, poured out, I stuck it back in the pantry. Well, it was sealed, airtight sealed. Once you open it, air gets in it. Guess what? It got some sort of weird, not an infection. It started actually fermenting because of the wild yeast in the air. And I was like, cracker jack, that was not good. And I went to pour some more, and you could tell it was not good, and it smelled slightly alcoholic. So after we licked our wounds from the price we had to pay to so once you open maple syrup, especially, put it in the fridge. That's note to self, PSA. So anyway, I said, hey, I'm not going to let it go to waste. I'm not German by heritage, but I'm German by family, and Germans don't throw things away. And Germans are really good at making homemade wine. I'm not so good at either one of those, but so I decided to make a wine with it, and I did. And it's okay. Here's the deal: it's been sitting for 6 months in a bottle now. I made it, let it sit, it did its thing, it fermented. It's about 10% alcohol right now. It's not great. I'm not gonna lie with you. It's not like, oh man, that's the greatest thing I've ever had. No, it's not. It's not bad. Let me just take you on a little journey. How about that? You definitely get maple syrup. And if you don't like the maple syrup taste, you're not gonna like it at all. But at the very end, and this might be due to possible infection, I hope not. At the very end, it's like very bitter. It gets very bitter. It's semi-sweet, so you still get the mouthfeel of the viscous maple syrup, but it's a little bitter on the finish, which isn't bad. It's just not great. I like if on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 5, maybe 5. Like I wouldn't pick it, but I wouldn't like if somebody poured it for me, I'd drink it. You know what I mean? One of those. Anyway, the reason I'm drinking that is because I have a bunch of bottles out here in the shed, different wines that I've made and stuff like that. And I wanted to have one in the house. I don't know why, I just did. And so I brought that one, and then I made a blueberry wine as well. And so I brought that one in the house as well. Well, I opened this one because I hadn't really, I think I opened one bottle like 2 weeks after I bottled it. You know what I mean? And it was real young. It was real kind of bitter, a lot more bitter than it is now. So it's mellowing out. So I'm going to keep a bottle for like a year and see if it just needs some age. Because wine, depending, needs some age. Anyway, I don't know why we're getting on a wine tangent. I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to celebrate with a little bit of my homemade wine that I made. And if you guys don't know, I have a YouTube channel, which I'm sure I've probably promoted way too much on here, and I'm sorry. I just did a video, and that's what kind of led me down. I've got so many topics that I want to talk about on this podcast, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, squirrel, So I did a YouTube video last week or a couple days ago. I don't even remember when it was. And I was comparing 2 Japanese whiskeys that I have. One of them is a Yamazaki 12, and the other one is the Hakushu 12. And you'll learn more about those here in a little bit. And I did a side-by-side. I hadn't had them in a while. Normally on, I don't want to call them fancy bottles, but bottles that I probably won't buy again, only because of rarity or whatever. I always like to take a 2-ounce sample, or a try to. I don't sometimes. Sometimes it's so good I just blow through it, and I'm like, oh crap, I should have took a sample. So I had a 2-ounce sample of each one of those. One of them, the Yamazaki, was from 2020. Yeah, so that's crazy, So I hadn't had it in 3 years. And I picked the Yamazaki over the Hakushu. Now, I might, during the course of this podcast, I might break into the Hakushu and see if it's gonna fight back. It was a hard pick. I'm not gonna lie, it was a hard pick. But just got out of the old garden. It is so stinking hot. that the garden is struggling. It really is. I water it more than I probably should. I mean, I feel bad because, like, we hadn't had rain in a while, and I don't want to use up all my water for the garden, but I want to have the water in the garden, you know? Mm. Sorry. I guess to talking. I'm still not over this, you know, the bubonic plague or whatever the hell I have. Still not over it 100%. I don't know what the hell's going on. Um, anyway, so I'm a little parched. Anyway, I was in the garden weeding again. Like, the freaking weeds come up like crazy, but the freaking tomatoes won't grow. They'll grow, but they won't produce tomatoes. And we're getting good cucumbers and stuff like that. Um, but but yeah, I was talking to Alan Bishop, which you know the the podcast just came out, or by the time you hear this, it'll have been out for a week. Um, I just did the podcast with him recently, and we were talking off air about electroculture, electro gardening, basically, and it is so interesting. It's really interesting. I want to get into some of that, and it's not hard. It's mainly for like sprouting, and for getting good root penetration and stuff like that. So I'm looking into that. Why am I talking about gardening? We're here to talk about whiskey, right? Anyway, I get off on tangents. I'm sorry. It's one of these things. This is not just about whiskey. This is about life. You know what I mean? I'm helping you and myself through this life. Because let me tell you, if you haven't looked around, it's a shit show out there right now. You know what I mean? There's crazy stuff going on. Uh, but that's what whiskey is all about. And I know on the last podcast, or the podcast before Alan's, I was talking about just drink the whiskey, bro. You know, like, doesn't matter. It is what it is. You know, and I still to this day, well, obviously to this day because it's only been like 2 weeks, but um, I still like to this day that rings true. Like, don't don't wait. Don't, you know, it's fine. Just freaking do it. Quit being so bougie about it. I was talking to a guy on YouTube. He has a little YouTube channel, and I was talking to him about different whiskeys and different preferences that people have, and we can have those preferences, and we can be like, I don't really like A, but you do, and that's fine. And I don't understand why people in the world can't just be like that. I don't like this. You do. I don't hate you. I just don't like that. Why can't we just be like that? Anyway, soapbox over. Sorry. Where was I? Oh, man. So anyway, we were in the garden, got it all weeded out, and now I'm tired. And so my son, um, his play is this weekend, and he is Squidward. I might have already told you all about this. I don't remember. I don't go back and listen. Actually, I have been listening to my own podcast, which is kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie, it's weird because everybody, and unless you're like a musician or something like that, everybody's freaked out by the sound of their own voice. You know what I mean? And they're just like, it's just like really strange. You know what I mean? And then you hear yourself, and you're like, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Um, but anyway, I have been listening to the podcast, but and I love him. God, I don't know who that guy is on these podcasts, but man, he's amazing. No, I'm joking. Um, what was I saying? Anyway, my son, um, he's Squidward in the SpongeBob musical, Junior, obviously for kids. Not that it's not Junior anyway. SpongeBob for adults, that would be kind of weird. But anyway, I mean, they're, whatever. I'm not gonna get into that. But so we went. It was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we went the Thursday night, and he hasn't talked to us about it. He hasn't done anything about it. You know what I mean? Like, he won't let us know what it is. Nothing. He memorized the script in the first 2 days of practice. And I don't even know, man. He's like a super genius when it comes to this, and it's amazing. So he wouldn't even tell us what was going on. So we go to the play, and he, like, dropped the ball, like, no, drop the mic. Sorry, not drop the ball. He dropped the mic on all of them. Like he blew. Not. I'm obviously a little, you know, one-sided on this, but like he stayed in character the entire time. He had a solo that he did perfectly, and this is the first time they've done it in front of an audience. You know what I mean? Nailed it. He nailed it. And I'm so proud of him. He has done amazing at it. And then we get in the car, and I was like, "Were you nervous?" He's all, "No. Why would I be nervous?" I'm like, "Yeah, but there's people there." He's like, "I don't care." Oh, oh, okay. If I was in front of like 100, 200, however many people were there, I would be. Oh my god, I would die. Like seriously, no. It's hard enough me talking in this stupid microphone, let alone, being in front of all those people singing a song and dancing and all this other stuff. It's crazy. Anyway, I say all that to say, we have another showing tonight, and I think there's like 15 or 16 of the family is going. So it's a lot of support for him, which is great, which is what we want. Uh, but it kind of ruins the weekend. I mean, I hate to say that because it doesn't, but it kind of ruins the weekend because like you're doing that. Um, so we don't stay home and eat dinner because it's 7 o'clock. You know what I mean? So, and he has to be there a little early so he can get all his costume on and stuff. He has 4 legs. It's pretty funny. Anyway, anyway, okay. Let's get into it. Damn, we're 17 minutes in already. I'm sorry, guys. All right. Let's. Oh, oh, oh. All right. I have like 3 pages of research on Japanese whiskey that I've done. I'm not playing around with you guys. Okay. Now there it's kind of convoluted in some of the wordings of things and the people. So I do not know Japanese history well as much as I should. I love Japanese culture. I think it is amazing. I love the people. They are awesome. My daughter, she is obsessed with, uh, you know, Japanese artwork and culture and stuff like that as well. I don't know near enough about the people and where they came to be. The little bit I know about Japanese whiskey is in these pages. So you're getting what I'm getting. So don't ask a bunch of questions because I don't know. One thing I will tell you, and I don't know if it says it in here, and if it does, I'm going to say it again. So sorry. Um, the one thing you have to watch out on, and I know I probably already said this again, is with Japanese whiskey, is watch out. Uh, some of the suppliers are just taking scotch and putting a Japanese label on it, and it's totally legal for them to do. Now, that is different than sourcing. They are literally saying that they're making it and stuff like that, and it's obviously scotch. So, Japanese whiskey. Let's do it. Now, I suck at reading, and there are Japanese names in here. Um, I'm sorry to the family of the people that I'm going to butcher their name. I'm going to try. I'm not going to phonetically spell it either because I can't. Anyway, let's go. In the early 20th century, the story of Japanese whiskey began with a man named Shinjiro Tori, Torii, I phonetically spelled it, who founded the Koto Budokai Company, known as Suntory, in 1899. Initially, the company focused on importing and selling Western spirits in Japan. Tori dreamt of creating a unique Japanese whiskey experience that would rival the quality of Scotch whiskey. There you go, right there. He was taking Scotch and selling. In 1923, think about that. 1920, Roaring Twenties, right? Not so much in Japan, right? Tori, that's what I'm gonna call him, Tori. Partnered with Masataki Takasuru. Got it. I nailed that one. A young Japanese man who had studied the art of whiskey making in Scotland. Well, where he studied was actually Springbank Distillery. And if you know anything about Springbank, super peaty, super briny, super lovely. Love it. It's great. Sorry, I went off on a tangent on my own writings. Wow. Uh, Takasuru brought his knowledge and experience back to Japan and joined forces with Tori to fulfill their whiskey vision. The first distillery, Yamazaki. And I'm sorry if I say things in a accent. I'm very sorry for that. I just realized I was doing that, and I'm very sorry. I'm going to do it, though, because it's like a thing. So, I mean, no disrespect. Yamazaki was built in 1923 near Kyoto, and it marked the beginning of Japanese whiskey production. Takasuru's experience, nope, expertise, see what I'm saying? And dedication to the craft of whiskey, according to Scottish traditions. He combined with Japanese unique climate and high quality ingredients, resulted in a distinct and refined Japanese whiskey style. In 1934, so 11 years later, Takasuru left Suntory and established his own whiskey company, Nika Whiskey, which we'll get into, which further contributed to the growth and popularity of Japanese whiskey. Over the years, Japanese distilleries garnered, wow, that was a big word, garnered recognition and numerous awards for their exceptional whiskeys, gaining international acclaim for their craftsmanship and unique character. Today, Japanese whiskey has been highly regarded worldwide, and many distilleries continue to produce a wide range of expressions, maintaining the legacy with the beginning of Shinjiro Tori and Masataka Takasuru, and their ambitions to pursue of creating top-notch Japanese whiskey. Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of just a brief overview of Japanese whiskey. Doesn't go into detail. That's something if you were talking to your friends, you could say and not sound stupid. So this will go into a little bit more detail of that. Okay, let me see. Let me find my place here. Okay, innovation and adaptation. It's one of the headings. Japanese whiskey makers did not merely copy Scottish techniques, they adapted and improved on them. They embraced the local ingredients like Japanese barley and Japanese water. Obviously, they're not going to import Scottish water. Well, maybe they, I don't know. And employed different distillation methods to craft whiskeys with distinct and refined taste. Their meticulous attention to detail and commitment to quality soon garnered international recognition, like I said. Okay, so here's something that came in that I had to do a little research on. And it has to do with the war, right? I mean, that's World War II. That was a big hit for Japan. Wow, I'm sorry. That was not the right word to say. Again, I'm an idiot. Don't. What the hell? During World War II, the Japanese whiskey industry faced significant challenge due to the rationing and resource shortage. However, distilleries managed to survive, and after the war, they experienced a resurgence of popularity as the economy began to recover. By the 1960s, nope, I can't read my own writing. By the 1980s and 90s, Japanese whiskey had gained global acclamations. They won prestigious awards and the respect of whiskey connoisseurs worldwide. They're smooth, well balanced. See, I said smooth. What do we say about smooth? Anyway, well balanced and often delicate flavors set them apart from other whiskeys and contributed to their rising popularity. I'm serious, guys. I cannot freaking read. Like, there's something wrong with my brain. I'm sniffing glue. That's what it is. You know, the dreaded day job. I'm sniffing glue too much and freaking burning brain cells. As Japanese whiskey's reputation grew, so did the demand. However, limited production capacity and the aging process leads to a shortage, making some bottles highly sought after and expensive for collectors and enthusiasts. The early 21st century witnessed a whiskey boom with unprecedented surge in the demand for Japanese whiskey. This led to an expansion of production and establishment of new distilleries to keep up with the market. Despite their success and acclaim, the Japanese whiskey industry has faced challenges in recent years. The increase of demand has led to a shortage of aged stock, leading some producers to release younger whiskeys and non-traditional methods to meet demands. So what they're doing is they're doing high rectification column still, and they're making like a grain whiskey, selling it, rapid aging it, and selling it for what it's, just trying to meet demand. The Japanese whiskey insurgence is a captivating tale of passion, innovation, and perseverance. From the humble beginnings of Masataka Takasuru's journey to Scotland to the global recognition and the booming market, Japanese whiskey has left an indelible mark on the whiskey world, blending traditions with creativity in a way that captivates whiskey enthusiasts worldwide. And it's true. I mean, I know it's true, but, I said it. But here's the deal. Like, when Japanese whiskey isn't new, but it's newer to America. In Japan, they drink Japanese whiskey all the time. And if you've never had a Japanese whiskey, then what you need to realize is think of sushi. And I know that's very stereotypical, but think of a sushi. Think of how the layers inside it, they all commingle together so well that's why you eat it in one bite, right? Because you want to develop that flavor to where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, however many pieces there are in there. That way you're not like, okay, I look at that in comparison to, obviously I'm in Texas barbecue. You get a slab of brisket, right? It's meaty, it's peppery, it's fatty. That's what you get. You get what you get. It's you know what I mean? Whereas, and look at Texas whiskey. Same way. It's meaty, it's thick, it's heavy, it's hot, it's peppery. It's exactly the same. Take Andalusia Striker, for instance. Obviously, I'm fanboying again. Who would have freaking thought? Take Andalusia Striker. It's barbecue in a glass. You know what I mean? Like, you take that to Japan, they're going to throw it out. They're not going to want that. But, so Japan, I don't want to say they have a more refined palate. Because I'm not saying they do or they don't. They eat things that are different than I would eat here. We try to expand on Japanese food here, like in our personal house. My wife finds these amazing recipes and makes all this amazing food for us, and I'm so grateful for her to go outside the box and try all these things. But like the subtlety of flavor in them is like, man, changing one little ingredient changes the entire thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's so crazy. Like, and so I'll go back to the sushi analogy. Sushi to, barbecue brisket. The sushi, finding a good sushi, obviously. You don't want to go to your local grocery store to get your sushi unless you live in Chinatown or something like that. It might be good there, but in Texas, we have what they call a H-E-B, which is a big grocery store. You don't go to H-E-B and think you're going to get gourmet sushi. You're getting, crab with a K, stuff like that. Anyways, I'm not saying it's not good. Don't get me wrong. I've had some crab with a K that's all right. Have you ever seen that made? It's disgusting. Anyway, sorry. Tangent, if you get some real sushi, like real good sushi, the delicacy of flavor. It can have a little spice. It can have some cucumber for brightness. It can have some, even the seaweed that's on the outside gives a little brininess to it. And then the backbone is the sushi rice. Obviously, it's just carrying the flavors. And then you have like crab or whatever inside it. The ones I really like are like the lobster volcano or whatever it's called. It's pretty good. Anyway, the flavors meld so well together, and they're so meticulously placed in there for a reason. And they use ingredients that aren't exactly things that you eat on a normal day, like bok choy and water chestnuts and stuff like that. Like in America, we don't really eat stuff like that. We might, but it's in a recipe or something like that. And that's exactly how Japanese whiskey is. Japanese whiskey, especially if you get a good one like Yamazaki, Hakushu, stuff like that, you can sit with it for literally an hour. Get you a big nice pour of it. Turn freaking TV on. We've been on a Alone kick. I don't know if y'all watch Alone at all. You should. If you haven't, what are you doing? We were on Schitt's Creek. I know we were late to the game on Schitt's Creek because everybody loved it, But we were watching that. But now we're on Alone. And we've been on Alone, and they came out with a new season. Anyway, sorry. I'm talking about TV now. What the heck? You sit down, you watch a show, and you sit there and you just meticulously go through it. And, I mean, you're getting notes like umami stuff, like even some mushroom and, have you ever had, like, sake? Like where it's... I don't know how to explain sake to you unless you've had it. It's like wine. Obviously, it's rice wine. But it's, like, really umami, which means salty, savory, briny almost, not really pickled juicy, some people say. A little funky sometimes, which is kind of fun. But I'm into that. I'm into the funkier stuff, like funky rums and stuff like that. I love that. Anyway, yeah, I'm not just a whiskey dude. Yeah, and I go where it's hot. Anyway, but yeah, there's so many different flavors in a Japanese whiskey that you can sit there and just geek out on it if you want to. But they're also they're blended in so well that if you just want to drink, like, it tastes like a good whiskey. You know what I mean? You can sit there and pick it apart, or you can be like, man, this is great. And one of the things that I've learned, in the Japanese culture, they don't drink a lot of whiskey neat, like no ice in a Glencairn. They don't drink it so much like that. Excuse me. They drink it more like in what they call a highball, which is basically on either a bunch of ice with either club soda or sparkling water, or sometimes they'll use like a ginger beer or something like that. That's how they drink their whiskey a lot of times. The old, you know, uh, Teddy Roosevelt way. But yeah, it's crazy. Winston Churchill, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Um, so they're using like expensive whiskey and they're mixing it, with soda water or whatever. So, um, they don't they do drink it neat. Like they drink their sake like that as well. Um, but yeah, just the meticulousness of the flavors. And Suntory is probably the biggest distillery or brand of distilleries. There's a bunch of different distilleries, and we're fixing to get into the actual distilleries. And this is not all of them. This is just a group of them that I found that you might be able to find at the store. Um, a lot of Suntory is allocated, unfortunately. When I got these bottles, not so much. You know what I mean? Like, it sucks. I was listening to something earlier, and they were talking about, um, like whiskey collectors, people that collect whiskey. I don't find myself to be a whiskey collector because I enjoy the whiskey. I'm not trying to sell it retail or secondary market or anything like that. What I'm trying to do is give it to people, do tastings with people, stuff like that. I'm not trying to make profit off of it. There's some whiskeys that I have that I might be able to sell. Never thought about it. Don't even know if I would want to do it. Um, but they were talking about the not just allocated, but like what they call dusties. Um, so it'd be like I got a 95 Wild Turkey from 1995. It doesn't age any. I mean, we've talked about this multiple times. Whiskey does not age. Once it's in a bottle, it does not age anymore. It's 8 years, it's 12 years, whatever it is that goes in the bottle, it stops aging. Now, the flavor can change a little bit due to oxidation and stuff like that, especially if you have a regular cork. Even if it's sealed, it can still get some air penetration through it. But they're talking about these dusty bottles that people are, so wanting to get, and it's a lot. It used to be a lot more in Scotch. People would want these 20, 30-year-old one-off bottles of, Macallan or something like that, and they pay exorbitant amounts of money, like $20,000 for these bottles and stuff like that. Now it's going into the bourbon realm, and I just saw a thing recently, and it was a 1956 or 1960, I don't remember, bottle of Jim Beam White Label, like the basic Jim Beam. But it was a bottle from the 1956, I think is what it was, and it sold for $38,000 at auction. Like, I'm sure everybody's grandpa used to have that in the damn shed when he was trying to get away from his wife. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. Now, I will tell you, with different, like, okay, look at Jim Beam, for instance. It's a heritage brand, right? And so, with heritage brands, you're going to have distillers. Every distiller that is at a brand distills differently. And the blenders and the tasters and the cut man, all the people in the process, when they get old and retire, the new person that comes up has a different taste. Like I've said multiple times, taste is subjective. So, and objective, obviously. So, what I taste, you might not taste. You get the same markers. Like, we all know that bourbon, cherry, vanilla, caramel, all of those things. Yes, all bourbon tastes like that. All of it. So we know that. Those are the markers. Hitting the freaking microphone again. I'm getting riled up here. Those are the markers. But at the same time, like, each person, especially the head distiller, who's overseeing the cuts and overseeing the barrel process and stuff like that, his profile is a certain way. So if you get what they call a dusty bottle, and if you ever get one, let me know. Let me know if you got a dusty bottle. Send me a sample. I'd love to try it. I love dusties. Like, I'm not a dusty hunter. I don't know what that's called. Age chaser. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, like, it's cool to see, like, because I have got to try, luckily, in my whiskey journey, I've got to try, Wild Turkey is one of my favorite bourbons, right? I've got to try some Wild Turkey from, like, the early 80s. Dude, it's so different. So different. It's good. It's good. So I would love to get a bottle of, like, 1980, Wild Turkey or something like that. It'd be pretty amazing. But then, like, when you get a bottle like that, like, do you drink it? Do you save it? Like, it's so weird. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's crazy. But they're talking about, in this thing that I was listening to, they were saying, is that going away? Are people getting away from collecting these more rare bourbons and scotches and stuff like that? Because, and I hate to talk about Big C, Little V, because For one, it's a trigger word on everything, and I don't want to be a trigger, but, and I don't care, and we're not going to talk about that, but um, that made people do what they call pantry buy. They're sitting at the house, they're not allowed to go to work, they're doing Zoom calls for work, they're sitting around the house. Alcohol sales like quadrupled during the pandemic. Quadrupled online. Because guess what? All these online stores like Sealbach, Sip Whiskey, Keg and Bottle, which is Sip Whiskey and Keg and Bottle are ones I go to a lot if I need um, a nice bottle. They're fairly priced. Shipping gets a little iffy. If you're getting one bottle, it's a little iffy. I think I spent on the last one. I spent $28 on one bottle, which if you're shipping, that's a lot of money. Anyway, these places blew up because people weren't going out. They weren't going to the liquor store. They were just buying everything online. And they had the expended outcome because they weren't going to dinners. They weren't going to concerts. They weren't doing this. So they had expendable income. So they were buying all these rare bourbons and whiskeys and stuff like that and sitting on them. Well, now they have a cash cow, but people aren't buying whiskey the same way anymore, right? What's happening is, and this is life, I guess. This is life. These, what I like to call private jet people. I am so sorry about that. I don't know what the hell happened. All of a sudden the recording stopped. I don't even know where I was left off, and I'm so sorry. I will try to edit that and make it seamless. Anyway, what I was saying was, I'm very sorry. Like, this is not professional. What am I doing? Seriously. Anywho, all of these people in their private jets, which if you're making money, do it. Do you go out there, stay on your grind, hustle, make money, do what you want, spend your money on what you want. I'm not going to poo-poo you, okay? Do you, baby. But what they're doing is they're buying people's full collection. Like, let's say I had, which I don't, let's say I had 250 bottles worth secondary market $250,000. They come in there and buy my entire collection. Right? That's what these people are doing. That's what they're doing. Yeah. And it's like, wow. Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot. So it's gone to these big 1% people. And they're just buying the whiskey because they can, because they know it's an asset. They know that it's something that will make money. And it will never depreciate. If you get a Old Forester birthday bourbon, it's not going to end up being $20. It never was $20. It will never be $20. But I say all that to say this. Hunting Dusties, hunting all these age statements and stuff like that, and all these old bottles and all that, that's fine. If you got the money, if you can still feed your kids and do what you got to do, do it. I said all that to say Suntory is sought after. It's allocated somewhat. There are others out there that aren't as allocated, like the Nika and stuff like that. Go find you a Japanese whiskey. Sit with it. Take sips of it. Finish the bottle, bro. Finish the bottle. And then give a full review of it. Like, not to anybody, to yourself, or whatever. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You don't all have to be YouTubers and blah, blah, blah. Like, we don't need everybody reviewing everything. But, like, it's crazy how Japanese, how meticulous they are about flavor profile. So, I'm so sorry. That freaking got me off my game, and I apologize. Okay, let's talk about the different distilleries in Japan. So Japan, obviously, as you know, is an island. So there's not a whole lot. I don't know how many square miles it is. I should have looked that up, but I didn't. I'm very sorry. Oh my god. as of like probably I don't know. I don't know how often these places upload their, revamp their websites and stuff. So, I'm doing the research for you guys. Like seriously. So, give me a grain of salt with everything. You know what I mean? Um, Japanese whiskey offerings are diverse and expanding, with renowned distilleries like Suntory and Nikko leading the way. Um, we'll touch on a couple different distilleries as well. Suntory, right? That's the biggest. It's gonna be the biggest. They actually, I don't know if they bought or partnered with. I'm guessing they bought. Um, Jim Beam bought them, or did Suntory buy Jim Beam? Because it's Beam Suntory. I'm guessing Jim Beam bought Suntory. It doesn't matter. They're still creating Japanese whiskey. I don't care. But it is under a Beam label as well. Um, the first one is obviously Yamazaki. Um, it's the oldest distillery in Japan, founded in 1923, like we talked about. They have a wide range of single malt expressions. They have the 12. They have one called the malt experience. I haven't had that one. I haven't seen it anywhere. I think it's a younger age statement. It's non-age stated. They have their 12. They have their 18. They have a 21, I think. They have a Mizunara oak finished. So if you don't know what Mizunara oak is, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but if you don't know, Mizunara is a Japanese oak. And they don't have near as many guidelines as even Scotch does, on profile or anything like that. So they use Mizunara. The issue I have heard, now I don't know this, I don't have any Mizunara oak or anything like that. I have heard that Mizunara takes a very, very long time to impart any sort of flavor. So, like, I heard of one whiskey that they put in a Mizunara oak, and it was fully aged in Mizunara oak. I think. I'm not certain, but I think. They left it in there for 10 years. Think about a whiskey sitting in a barrel for 10 years. 10 years. And in America, and I don't know about other places, but I know American whiskey, you have to pay taxes on it every year. It's like dead stock. You know what I mean? They tried it at 10 years. Wasn't good. Had no color. Was basically new make. So then they tried it in 15 years, I think. So 5 more years. And they tried it. It had a little bit of color, but the flavor was still way off. And so they just left it. They put it in the back of their warehouse or whatever. They came back, and from their best guessing, it ended up being like 25-year-old or 23-year-old, 25, something like that. And they said by that time, and they don't know when it happened, somewhere after 15, obviously, it turned into an amazing, amazing whiskey. Which, I mean, 25 years in a barrel and in Japan, which I don't know Japan's climate as much. I think it's similar to like Portland, you know what I mean, or Seattle. Rainy, cooler, not as hot, higher elevation. So, yeah, you're going to get some really nice flavors on it. Anyway, now number 2 on Suntory is Hakushu, which I talked about earlier. They were founded in 1973. So they're a newer, distillery. Hakushu produces light and refreshing single malts known for their herbal and green notes. These whiskey feature a delight combination of peat and fruit. Now, I will tell you, this is a little tangent I'm going to go off on. I'm sorry. So when Mazataka went to Springbank, he came back with a recipe for basically a Springbank scotch, and he made it, and all the Japanese people hated it because they were like, no, it's too peaty. We don't like it. We like light floral, blah blah blah. So he had to totally revamp his whole thing, and that's one of the reasons he went to Nika, because he fell in love with the profile of Springbank, and he wanted to make Springbank type whiskey. But Hakushu, they say it's peat and fruit. The peat note on Hakushu, there's a little bit on Yamazaki as well. Okay. When I say peat, I mean a wisp of smoke in the back. It's like if you were drinking the whiskey and somebody was smoking a cigar by you, right? Not even by you, like close by. Or you were standing by a fire outside. Like, it is so light and crisp. Both of them. Hakushu, a little less, I feel, but everybody says it's a little more. I'm going to, hold on. Let me, I got a little bit of wine left. Let me just give you guys a thing. I'll run through the rest of these. But yeah, the peat on there, we'll just see. Anyway, let's bottle it down. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's only 1 o'clock. Okay, so the next one, and this is one I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, that I really enjoy, and you might be able to find it. Number 3 is Hibiki. So Hibiki Blend. It's a blended whiskey. It's Suntory still. It's a blended whiskey known for harmonious and well-balanced character, created by blending malt and grain whiskey. So it's not a single malt. From Yamazaki and Hakushu. So it's both. So from research I've done, and one of my buddies, Jason Souter, he's a level 4 whiskey somm. He did a deep dive on Hibiki. And if you've ever seen a bottle of Hibiki, it is multifaceted. The bottle itself is multifaceted. Many people use it for their infinity bottle. We're going to get into infinity bottles very soon. So I'm not going to go into detail about it. Basically, you put whiskeys in it and it makes a blend. Anyway, that thing has 24 different facets, so different cuts into the glass. Meaning the 24 hours of the day. And then it's also the 24 different blends that went into it. The 24 different whiskey types that went into it, which is super cool. And, oh man, it is an amazing ride whiskey. I know my buddy, the doc, just picked one up recently. And my buddy, my cousin, my family, I'm not calling him out anymore. He got mad at me. For calling him out. Anyway, Hibiki's amazing. It's amazing whiskey. If you find one, it's like $90 now. It's pretty high. So, on the Hakushu, I'm going to give you a little tasting note right now. Why not? Let's do it. You know what I mean? We're not going nowhere. So, the Hakushu is 43% alcohol by volume. Age 12 years. I'm actually getting a little more peat on it right now. So maybe I was askew the first time. It's green apple all day. All day. A little bit of caramel on the green apple. That's just on the smell. Yeah. Green apple. A little bit of spice. Caramel. Vanilla. And then it goes into a hint of smoke. A little more than a hint. I would say, like, you put a campfire out. You know what I mean? And, like, that lingering smoke that comes up. That, like, from when you put it out, it's, like, watery. That watery smoke that comes up hits you in the throat. It's a little ashy. Instead of it being, like, smoky, like a cigar, it's more like ashy, like the wet coals. You know what I mean? Very good. Very good. I don't know if I prefer the Yamazaki better. I think I do. It just has a little bit more character to it. But anyway, moving on. But yeah, the Hibiki is an amazing whiskey. If you ever get a chance to find it, they have different ones. If you can get the Select or the Master Series, even better. Mm, mm. They have a Hibiki. It's the Hibiki Harmony, and then they have a Hibiki Master Select, and they have a Year of the Dragon or something like that. And then they have a Hibiki 17 and or maybe a 12. They might have a 12. And then they have a Hibiki 21, which I've never tried. I would love to try, but I probably will never try because I am poor. I'm blessed. I'm so blessed. I get to talk to you guys. It's so much fun. Okay, drinking whiskey at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. Why not? Let's do it. All right. Let's move to Nika. We have not talked about Nika that much. Nika is the distillery founded by Masataka Takasuru. Masataka Takasuru. Yep, I got it. In 1934, remember? Um, Yoichi was the first one. So, like, there's a brand called Nika. Like, that's the main brand. And then they have these two different distilleries that are under the Nika name. You know, kind of like Suntory, Yamazaki, Hakushu, Hibiki. Okay, the Yoichi distillery produces a robust and peaty single malt with a distinct maritime influence, owing to its coastal location and, ooh, wow, this is going to be different. Hokkaido. Hokkaido. I don't know, it's got two K's right next to each other. Kaido. Hokkaido. Hokkaido. So, Yoichi, I don't know if I've had. I have to look for Yoichi now. I did a little research on Nika because the Nika that I've had the coffee, which is a coffee still, which we've talked about still types and stuff like that in the past. Don't know if we've talked about a coffee still, and if we haven't, I'm sorry. Bad boy for me. Um, but a coffee still is basically a hybridized still that they made to fit their profile. Amazing, amazing whiskeys coming out of it. So Yoichi is going to be a lot peatier, which I'm super excited about. Um, but yeah, I gotta get some Yoichi in my life. Okay, Miyagikyo. I know that one. I know I nailed that one because I've said Miyagikyo before. Established in 1969, so it was actually established before Hakushu. Think about that. Miyagikyo offers a smooth and more delicate single malt with a fruity floral notes, as this distillery is situated in the valley that's surrounded by mountains. And so, I don't know, like we talked about Japanese culture and stuff like that. In the Japanese culture, they are very much in tune to the world that is surrounding them, the mountains, the trees, the landscape, and so that plays into a lot of the things that they're doing. And it's so cool. Like, I love the culture in Japan. So cool. So cool. I have had Miyagikyo, and it is delightful. It really is delightful. I didn't get to sit with a bottle. It's hard to find. Like, all the Nika um distillery stuff is either the Nika coffee or the Nika single grain, which single grain whiskey, and I'm not trying to be bougie or anything about that. Single grain whiskey comes off as a little metallic to me, like metallic vanilla, like Crown Royally, a little bit, not bad, but so it's like, man, I can get that with like a $30 bottle of Crown. Why am I spending 100 and whatever dollars for this one? You know what I mean? So, um, I had the Nika from the barrel, it's like their barrel strength, and I know everybody raves about it. Everyone raves about it. Maybe I got a bad bottle. I don't know. I'd give it a second shot. I really would. I didn't care for it, man. It was for what it was. It wasn't what I wanted it to be. You know what I mean? I wanted it to be robust and, at cast strength, it should have some flavor and some this. And it was just so light, and it was almost like acrid tasting. It just, I don't know. I couldn't get into it. Anyway, um, all right, let's move on to other notable distillery. And these are the ones I'm gonna, possibly screw up their name. Chichim. Oh man. Okay. Chichiboy. Chichiboy. Shishiboy. Shishibu. Chichibu. Whatever. Is an independent and relatively smaller distillery. Founded in 2008 by Ichiro Akutu. Despite its youth, they have gained recognition for for producing high quality whiskeys with a creative expression. I've never had that, never seen it. Just doing research for you guys. Okay, moving on. Mars. Shinsu. Mars Shinsu. Reviving an old distillery, Mars Shinsu produces both peated and unpeated whiskeys, often exhibiting a delicate and refined character. So I've had a Mars. It was good, slightly peated, possibly less peated than the Hakushu, which I'm still enjoying. That is like Granny Smith apples. You're at the fair. Okay, so in Texas, especially in my town that I live, the fair is a huge deal. Like, you put your best clothes on, you go to the fair, you bob for apples, you show off your girl, have a couple brews if you're old enough. If you're not old enough, you find your buddy who is and get one. It is a thing, but it's dusty. It's, but they're cooking like turkey legs and shit like that there. So like it's kind of smoky in the air and it smells like hay. Oh my God, I did it again. It smells like hay and, barnyard and stuff like that. That's kind of what I'm getting out of this Hakushi right now. It's like you're at the fair. You got a Granny Smith caramel apple and you have the smell of a turkey leg in the air with some hay. Oh. And that's what I'm saying about tasting notes. Does it taste like the freaking fair? No, it does not taste like the fair. Okay? It tastes like the memory of the fair. And that's amazing. That is amazing that you can do that when you get into a whiskey. I love it. Mars Shinshu. I've had one bottle. It was fairly good. Don't know the pricing on it. It was a gift. I love it when people gift me whiskeys. So, it was a gift. It was good, not great. I'll say that. It was good, not great. All right, moving right along. This one was a little bit different for me because I couldn't get a whole lot of information on it. So just take this for what it is. It's called White Oak Akashi. It's situated near Kobe. White Oak produces single malts and blended whiskeys, offering a wide variety of expressions. They didn't, on their website, they didn't really say a whole lot. They do have a single malt that is age stated. I think it said 10. But they are a very new distillery, so it might be a sourced. Again, with Japanese whiskey, you can never tell. That's just some of them. There are 10 or 15 different ones that are making stuff. Yeah. So, the whiskey landscape is constantly evolving, and new distilleries and expressions have emerged. Japanese whiskey's global popularity has led to an increase in demand and somewhat of a scarcity of their aged stock, which has prompted distilleries to experiment in different aging techniques and release non-age stated expressions to meet consumer interest. Despite these challenges, Japanese whiskey remains highly regarded in its craftsmanship, quality, and unique flavors making it a beloved choice among whiskey enthusiasts worldwide. Worldwide. Think about that. You're Mazataka, and you just got off a tour at Springbank Distillery. You get back to your country. You tell them, I want to make a whiskey. Because by then, they were sourcing whiskey and sending it out. He goes, I want to make a whiskey. And I want to make a peated whiskey. And they're like, all right, cool. How long it sat in a barrel, how new it was, who knows? Because if you know anything about peated whiskey, and I hope you do, the older the peated whiskey is, the less peat influence on it has. So, in instance, in comparison, in something, if you go to Ardbeg, yeah. If you don't like Ardbeg, it's fine, I get it, more for me. So, Ardbeg 10 is the pinnacle of Ardbeg. It is the baseline, it is their go-to. You'll find it at most bars and restaurants. Not all of them, most of them. Most of the higher end ones you will. But they came out with one called Ardbeg Wee Beastie. It was a 5-year offering. Why were they doing that? Why would Ardbeg cut their age statement in half to release a whiskey? Well, for one, to meet demand. Because if you don't know about the cult of Ardbeg, it's pretty big. It's pretty big. People love the Ardbeg. Anyway, when I tried, I had a bottle of Ardbeg Wee Beastie. Of course I did, because I'm like, I love the 10, I love the 5. It was so peaty. Like, oh my god. It was like angry peat. It was not happy peat. It was a angry peat. It was the peat that was like, aggressive and angry and wanting to hurt you. And I loved it. I loved every bit of it. But when you get to the 10, it's a lot more mellow. If you've never had it, you're going to be like, no, it kicked me in the ass. But it's a lot more mellow. It's a lot more calm. It's mellow. It's been able to get into the whiskey a little more, and you get more barrel influence and stuff like that. That's why the non-age stated Ardbegs, Lafroigs, stuff like that are so hot right now. Is because the peat on them is so hyperactive. And they're only doing, supposedly, how can you really test the phenols on a whiskey? It's difficult. They're only doing 20 to 50 ppms, parts per million, of phenolic peat compound, right? And you get those 3-year-old, 5-year-old stated, like the Ardbeg Ugadal, right? The Ardbeg Ugadal is an amazing cast strength whiskey that you need to try. If you're into peat, try it. I love it. I'm looking up at my whiskey wares. That's the good thing about having. I mean, I know people look at me weird for having all these empty bottles in my shed. But then I can go back, and that takes me to that place where I was. I was there. It takes me right back to where I was when I was drinking that. And I don't know if other people get that. I don't care if other people get that. It is a time and space where I can go and say, oh, there's the Ardbeg Ugdal. I remember when I was sitting around at people's house with that bottle, and they were like, that smells like ass. And I was like, yes, it's amazing, isn't it? Anyway, I don't know how we started talking about Ardbeg, but any conversation we have when we get to Ardbeg, you know it's going to be a good conversation. There is much peatier whiskeys than that. And I don't know why I'm talking about peat now, but you can get into, some people say Lagavulin is more peaty. All right. Port Charlotte, heavily peated, is maybe not top 10, but it's pretty freaking up there. Okay? But probably the most peated, and I think they own the crown for this for a while, would be Brooklotic Octomore. Because it has 8 times more peat than it should. The ones that I've had have had anywhere from 130 ppm to 280 ppm, which if you think about a Lafroig or an Ardbeg having 20 to 50, that's going to, gosh, it gets so peated. It's blue cheese. It's rotted meat. And I know that sounds like you want to vomit, right? Like you're like, oh God, why would you want to drink something like that? And most, and I think all of the Octomores are at cask strength. So you're talking at least 52 to 55, some 62% alcohol. So you sip one of those, whoa. You kick your ass. I got the privilege, I'm going to say it's a privilege, to procure a bottle of Octomore 6.1. I feel like it was one of the best Octomores out there. Every year they come out with three different variations of Octomore. And they're on like 13 or something, like 13 or 14. And I got the 6.1, which is an old bottle. It's long gone. I can't. Yeah, I mean, it might be. I have a little sample of it. 2021 is the last one I killed it. So, and it's not even full, so it's probably oxidized a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, back to Japanese. If you have never had Japanese whiskey and you think you would like, see, because not all Japanese whiskey is slightly peated. There is some that is, there's some that isn't. And if it's excuse me. See, with Japanese, it's a lot like Irish peat. It's so slight. Just a hint of smoke. So, I would say if you're interested in getting into smoky whiskey and you don't know where to go Japanese. Not all Japanese whiskey is smoky, so just understand that. Pick up any bottle of Suntory you find, even the Toki. The Suntory Toki, we didn't even talk about that one. That is the baseline whiskey that is out there for Suntory. It's a square bottle. I know you've probably seen it in a liquor store. You just didn't pick it up. It's great. It's good in a cocktail. Holds up to a cocktail. Slight bit of smoke on the end. Similar to Hakushu. Hakushu's a little smokier. I'm going to say it. I know I'm backing off of what I said, but now I've been sitting with it for a minute. I'm getting a little smoke on the nose even. It's gone. Hakushu's gone. I drank it all. Yeah, the smoke on the end. The ash. Oh, man. So, in conclusion, I feel like we did Japanese whiskey right. I butchered names, and I'm sorry to all of the heritage people out there. I'm very sorry for that. I can barely pronounce English words, let alone Japanese words. So just, give me a little help here. Yeah. Thanks. I don't know. I feel like this kind of opened the door, hopefully for you, to get into Japanese whiskey. If you haven't, please do. Japanese whiskey is one of those things that's kind of a hit or miss for some people. But I will tell you this, like, if you get a chance to pick up one, try it in a bar, that's the thing, like, I know I keep harping on this, and I'm gonna get off, I promise, it's been a while. If you're in a bar and you see a Japanese whiskey and you want to try it, bro. Go to Whiskey Cake, go to 7 Grand, go to, there's all these places out there. There's a bunch of whiskey bars popping up all over the place. Take your wife out, take your boyfriend out, take your girlfriend out, whatever. I don't care how you swing, just swing and go get you a freaking Japanese whiskey and try it. Because I guarantee, and this is the shaman's seal of approval, you find a Japanese whiskey, you're probably going to like it. And if you don't like it, I guarantee you it's not a true Japanese whiskey. And that's where I'm going to leave it. I need to explore. I've realized during this podcast, during talking to you guys about all this, I need to explore Japan a lot more. There's a lot more out there that I need to do. The little bit of research that was done, and I mean, I want everything that I do on this podcast to be very organic, and I want it to come across as very legit and real, and I feel like I do that. But in some of this, like with Japanese, I knew nothing, and I mean, okay, in sommelier classes, we have to learn about Japanese whiskey and all whiskeys, right? So I knew a little bit, but I didn't know even as much as when I did the research on it. So I learned something, and that's the thing when you have a hobby, and I feel like whiskey is a hobby. You can take that however you want to take it, but I feel like whiskey is a hobby. So when you have a hobby, you want to learn more about it. And so this just opened another gate for me and hopefully for y'all to do a little bit more research into Japanese whiskey or any whiskey. Whatever whiskey you're vibing on right now, freaking do some research on it. Get in there, figure it out, and then if you find something that's super cool, shoot me a DM and be like, "Hey bro, I found this out about early times Bottled and Bond got bought by Sazerac." What? Yeah, they're not doing the black label anymore. It's a metal cap instead of a black cap. It used to be Brown Forman. Now it's Sazerac. That's something that just happened. Anyway, all right, we're like over an hour, and I'm sorry. I'm trying to do the more long form content because I feel like think about it. Like when I listen to podcasts, this is what I'm doing. I'm either working, have my headphones in, working, doing my job, and I don't want to have to switch between podcasts so many times, right? I have like 4 or 5 podcasts I listen to religiously. Uh, some of them I can't talk to you about because that gets anyway, whatever, goes down a different hole. Anyway, um, but like I want to do some longer form stuff. That's why I'm doing the videos and the interviews because I feel like they're longer content things that, and I feel like it fills the gap. But I don't want it to only be that. I want it to be a little more personable between you and I. We can sit here. We can deep dive into Hakushu. Who's gonna do that on a podcast with you? You know what I mean? I'm sure somebody is out there, but like there's so many podcasts that you can choose, and I'm really glad that you chose the Whiskey Shaman podcast. I had to plug it. I'm sorry, but if I'm thinking about support. I've been seriously thinking about support. Um, Not that I need. I mean, don't get me wrong. This podcast needs all the help it can get. I'm working on a Amazon mic and mixer and stuff like that. I would like to do some upgrades, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm looking at support. Um, possible. I mean, we're on episode 20, bro. We're on episode 20. I feel like it's going good. We're getting some numbers. We're not getting the numbers we want, and I don't know if that may be because the production's not there. Um, I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's a very niche community, and I love all of the people who are listening right now and who have listened to any episode that I have put out. And I'm going to say that we have put out because this is a community, right? The Whiskey Shaman it's me, but it's not just me. It's the community. It is the spirit body, right? It is all of us going through this together. Like we just learned, I feel like I learned, even though I wrote half the crap on here, with research and science. Like together we learn. And so like this is for all of us. So anyway, saying all that, if you want to support, if you want to send samples for me to do live on the podcast or anything like that, I'd be more than happy to do that. But yeah, If you have any ideas for future podcasts, please hit me up. Whiskeyshamanpodcast at gmail.com, or any other socials that I have. I have a Facebook group, which is kind of weird because, like, my actual name and stuff, Facebook is so stupid. I hate it. But it's the Whiskey Shaman on Facebook, but it's a group. We have a pretty good crew there. I'm also on Instagram at _the Whiskey Shaman. I'm on Rumble. Yeah, I'm on Rumble. I'm posting a little bit of crap on Rumble, which is very right leaning. I don't know. I don't care. Somebody said it's a platform like YouTube. Whatever. I'm posting stuff on there. I'm also on YouTube posting videos, posting content on there, trying to be different content than what is on the podcast. I'm trying. It's very difficult because coming up with new things. Oh, you hear my donkey in the background? I don't know if you can hear it or not, but he's braying. He wants some. It's freaking hot, and they want some feed. Anyway, but it's a community, and I need your feedback to grow this and to turn it into something that people recognize. I feel like we're doing a great thing. The guests that I've had have been amazing, and I hope you enjoy them. I hope that you listen to them over and over again. Jesse, Alan, Moose, Germ, all of them have been freaking amazing, and we've got some amazing ones coming up. Listen, stay tuned. Stay tuned. We've got, I can't even tell you. I'm not even going to tell you. You need to be in suspense. Like, seriously, there's some stuff coming down the pike that like is gonna blow your mind. Like, I thought I hit the top tier when I had Jesse on. Like, he's big beans, but just wait. And I've got a bunch of feelers out on other people, but I don't want it to just be about that. I want it to be about this face-to-face stuff as well. All right, I'm gonna leave you at that. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I thought this was fun. I hope you thought this was fun. Please like, subscribe, follow everywhere if you can. Give a 5-star review. I would really enjoy that. If you like the content, please go back and look at some of the other ones. I'm going to try and do like an intro and stuff like that. I don't know. Like, it's so hard. Like, I hate doing this shit. But I'm trying to get it better. I'm trying to make it better than me just sweating my ass off in the shed talking to a microphone. Anyway, all right, all that being said, I love you guys. And as always, keep your spirits up. Peace out.